Now we begin with Israel summoning a U.S. ambassador after Washington refused to veto a UN Security Council resolution condemning Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. U.S. State Department has confirmed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already met with U.S. Ambassador Daniel Shapiro. Meeting came hours after 10 other ambassadors from other countries that also supported that resolution were also called in. Meanwhile, Netanyahu has criticized the nations that voted for the resolution during a visit to the Western Wall in Jerusalem. Let's have a listen.
I ask those same countries who today wished us Happy Hanukkah, how did they vote for the decision in the UN that says that this place where we are celebrating Hanukkah is occupied territory? The Western Wall is not occupied. The Jewish quarter is not occupied, and other areas aren't occupied either, and therefore we cannot and will not accept this decision.
Netanyahu earlier described the measure as a shameful blow to Israel. He's also blamed the U.S. government for engineering the vote. The UN Security Council passed a resolution Friday after 14 members of the council voted in its favor while the United States abstained. It demands that Israel immediately and completely cease all settlement activity on occupied Palestinian land. And joining us now is Mr. Paul Larudi out of Berkeley, California, co-founder of the Free Palestine Movement. Hello, Mr. Larudi, and thanks for joining us on the program, sir. Now, should Netanyahu be expressing this much shock towards these nations voting against Israel's actions? I mean, these countries have been doing this for decades, and only a highly questionable U.S. veto has always bailed Israel out. Your thoughts?
Prime Minister Netanyahu has more conviction in what he doesn't believe than in what he does believe. He doesn't believe a word of what he says about it not being occupied territory, or about how the Palestinians have supposedly failed to accept generous offers from the Israeli government. And this is what he's telling to all these ambassadors. He's saying, look, we tried. We've been trying so hard for so many years without success. What do you expect us to do? He has a lot of conviction for something that he doesn't believe a word of. And he doesn't expect to abide by it, but he wants to make sure with this very small thing that is meaningless, absolutely meaningless, he wants to make sure that he fights hard for this meaningless thing so that nobody dares to do anything to defy Israel. This is the purpose of it, to make such a big problem for them for something that is meaningless, so that they never dare to speak a word.
I mean, and they've shown total disregard. Just today, they already passed new legislation approving thousands of more settler units.
Exactly. This is their act of defiance, and they'll use any pretext in order to advance the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, of the Palestinians, of confiscating as much land as possible. Believe me, but Palestine is only the beginning. It may take hundreds of years, but they have their eye on the East Bank, and they have their eye on South Lebanon, and probably all the way to the Euphrates River. So they will take whatever they can. And that's what they're doing now. They're engineering it so that they will take the land and remove the people.
And Mr. Larudi, do you think that this would in any way, the UN resolution I'm referring to, pave the way for Palestinians to get any kind of recourse or increase their chances of getting recourse from Israel in the ICC?
They have more than enough to get recourse in the ICC. All existing international law is on the side of the Palestinians. They don't need this. This is a non-binding resolution. I'm not sure that this will be of any help to them at all. But if the law were to be followed, there probably would be no Israel right now. And so everything depends on not obeying the law, not obeying international law, not obeying the United Nations. So this is a game. They are going to defy the United Nations. They're going to do exactly what they want to do, regardless of any law or any judgment by anybody in the world.
And do you think the decision, the resolution, and all this blowback, and all this the attention that even Netanyahu himself is drawing to this may actually draw more attention and give more impetus to the boycott movements, such as the BDS against Israel?
That's a strong possibility. If the rest of the world is half as determined as Israel is, and has 1/10 of the means that Israel has, then they will counteract by various means that are at their disposal, such as denying travel to Israeli citizens and arresting Israeli citizens when they travel. And there are a lot of measures that individual governments can take with respect to them. So this is a possibility, and BDS is always expanding. So this is something that can be effective in mobilizing public support for the Palestinians.
Thank you for your contribution to the program, sir. Mr. Paul Larudi joining us out of Berkeley, California, co-founder of the Free Palestine Movement.